Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Anambra Weekend Edition. How are you? Sure you had a good night rest? Yeah, because of the rain that drizzled in the evening, and then it was very quiet everywhere. But of course, that's this, what do we call it? Cold wave. We just came out from heat wave and entered cold wave, but it's still okay. Welcome. We are cut out for press review now, but we'll take a break here. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest. Okay, welcome back. This morning I have Ejike Abata, a public affairs analyst, as my guest this morning. Welcome, Ejike.
Good morning, IJ. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 papers, 5, 6, 7 to look at. But we are beginning with the first paper, which is the Daily Times. And on the front page of the Daily Times, we'll have this story on top of the name template that says, warning strike, we will evoke no work, no pay. No work, no pay policy. Federal government SNAD. That's the threat that is coming from federal government because SNAD had embarked on 7-day warning strike for the release of their colleague that has been held for 9 months in captivity. Tinubu calls for strengthened collaboration between Nigeria and Brazil on aviation. Inflation, FCCPC gives Nigerian traders 1 month to slash prices or face penalties. Okay. But the banner headline on this paper says, NLC can't be intimidated, said Ajaero after police interrogation with some riders. Says NLC remains committed to defending the rights of Nigerian workers. And the real reason why police invited NLC president emerges. And by this side, we'll have this other story. Troops neutralized 1,166 terrorists, arrested 1,096, okay, and suspected terrorists in August. This is coming in August. This is coming from Defense Headquarters. Diminish capabilities of terror groups to engage in major offensive. Okay, I think we need to see these terrorists that you have arrested or neutralized. We need to see them paraded as usual. Okay, and down here, we no longer eat 3 square meals. Kaduna residents lament. Okay, let's move to Punch newspaper. And then on top of the NEN template, Tinubu okays 50% electricity subsidy for hospitals and others. NYSC bars poly graduates without IT experience. The stories making the round on top of that place. Governor's job bazaar, state wages rise by 900 billion naira. Okay, but the banner headline says presidential fleet, 200 families displaced as NAS demolishes houses. With the rider there, soldiers deployed inside. Property owners demand compensation. Federal government keeps mum as usual. Okay, down here, Ajaero honors police summons, false terrorism allegation. No work, no pay threats won't stop strike. Resident doctors, okay? Now, what do we have here? It's a Butok enlargement doctor declared wanted as client dies during surgery. Canada ends visitor to work permit policy. Okay, I missed what is trending in Canada now. Yeah, Vanguard newspaper. Exploitative pricing. Traders get 1 month notice to crash prices. With some riders there, it can lead to scarcity, business closure, job losses. Stakeholders react. price reduction a mirage unless insecurity, high transportation costs are reduced. This is coming from TUC. Rising cost of food items, Catholic bishops, task federal government on security of farmers. Okay, I think that's the problem there. Oh, well, let's keep our fingers crossed and see how all these ones are going to play out. Why cement prices are high, Boer balls. And then other stories on top of the name template. Alleged terrorism financing, what NLC president told police. This is what you pick your paper and find out. Federal government will liaise with EU to take action against Simon Ekpa. This is coming from Defense Headquarters. Okay, tension in KB as military personnel shoots DPO dead. And insecurity, 55,910 dead, 21,000 abducted in just 4 years. Okay, that's all coming from Vanguard newspaper. We'll take one more paper and then we'll get talking. This day is our next paper. Lopobiri moves to resolve issues with domestic crude oil supply, engages producers. The story is on top of the name templates are there, but do we even have any other stories coming from this paper? Bankers Committee completes restoration of National Theatre is their business on this paper. Okay. Abata, let's look at what trended yesterday as NLC chairman answered the police summon. Yesterday, we read that he gave directives that all the defense headquarters should be flooded by all the workers in Abuja, while the workers in states occupy state commands of police. Yes.
Well, perhaps it's as a result of the person of the NLC president or the office he occupies. Otherwise, the police in their usual Gestapo manner would have abducted him. But given the person of Joe Ajaero and the office he occupies as the national president of the NLC, they rather decided to invite him, which ordinarily is the normal thing to do. If you have a suspect, you don't just go and abduct the person. You invite the person first. If the person doesn't come, then you use the instrumentality of the court to get the person arrested or declare the person wanted. So Joe Ajaero went to the force headquarters, and as I understand the interview, that's what they called it, didn't last for 30 minutes. And he was asked some questions, which, as it is, I do not have the details of what transpired. But Ajaero also went there with, in company of his lawyer, Femi Falana, which is also the proper thing to do. Police should not obtain or interrogate you in the absence of a lawyer. So he went there with his lawyer. Perhaps that was why the interview didn't last long. Perhaps that was why he was not detained. He went in and came out, and everything went seamless. But the allegations against him are weighty. So we still have our fingers crossed, hoping to find out what actually transpired. It has to do with Eva Valley Bookshop, a tenant at the Labour House, on the second floor of the Labour House. And the man there, whom they were forced PPRO some weeks back, stated has some incriminating materials that has to do with and terrorism, not just in Nigeria, not just in Africa, but global terrorism. And then one will begin to ask the connection between the NLC or the NLC president and this man. The man has not been, we've not known the man's name, we don't know his nationality as it stands. So we still want to know what actually happened. And let's also, as a way of reminder, let me also state that NLC, the Nigeria police invaded the NLC house and carted away some materials. And this is why the NLC president was invited. So let's hope and see or wait to hear the outcome, the full details of what was discussed, and if the NLC president has been let off the hook or if investigation continues, because you don't just level such weighty allegations against somebody and the person would, or expect the person to allow it lie low. We want to know those who are those who are sponsoring the terrorism, the person in that building whom the police have not are yet to disclose. We want to know who they are and who has been sponsoring them.
Who has been sponsoring? Of course, yeah, the Vanguard put it that is an alleged terrorism financing that, I mean, it formed the bulk of why Ajero was invited. And then Vanguard said alleged terrorism financing, what NLC president told police. But that's something I don't understand. You're looking for somebody, a terrorist that is staying in NLC headquarters. Okay, you don't know his name. You don't know where he comes from. So how do you know who you are looking for?
Well, it is not as if, according to the first PPR Omuyiwa, it's not as if they don't know his name. They refuse to disclose who the person is. According to him, in due time, Nigerians will know. Sheung of China's television pressed hard to get some details from him, but he refused to budge. So let's keep waiting, hoping that they will reveal. If they don't reveal in their usual manner, so be it.
So be it. Okay, let's now join this story with this other one. Federal government will liaise with EU to take action against Simon Ekpa. This is coming from the defense headquarters.
Well,
what is that one's offense again? Is it terrorism too?
Simon Ekpa in faraway Finland has been making some inciting statements, but like there are things that shouldn't be in the news. There are things that you shouldn't just announce. Do the work. You don't say everything.
Use your intelligence.
Yes, you don't come out and disclose everything. Do the work. Tell us when.
Let's see the results.
Yes, let's see the results. You don't come and tell us you do it. Let us see.
Okay, NAD went on a 7-day. I mean, is on a 7-day strike. They said it's a warning strike. Who knows what will come after the 7 days? And then federal government has started with their no work, no pay threat again. For the past 9 months, NAD has been telling them, go after these people, release our colleague, and you are not doing anything. And now they decided to do something. You are warning them. You're not even begging them. You are warning them. Okay, so how are we going to reach a truce when we have this kind of problem and nobody's talking to them? Okay, but of course, there's something that the federal government said, that why they have not been able to release the woman is because that the terrorists have been shifting grounds, okay, in their demands. Okay, which is not an excuse. Okay, there are people that have been kidnapped and rescued under one woman, but this woman has stayed 9 months. Is a woman, 9 months, since December last year. So how do you see what is upcoming with between the NAD and the federal government?
When things like this happen, it has a ripple effect, and I can tell you that lives have been lost as a result of this strike. Yes, by the National Association of Resident Doctors, NAD. Lives have been lost. That is a ripple effect of the abduction or kidnap of their member who has been in captivity since 9 months. So if you try to balance the whole issue, this is a woman who came from a family and decided to dedicate her life to saving others. And then in the course of carrying out her responsibility, she was taken away from her family, from her loved ones, her colleagues, her patients. And she has been in captivity for nine whole months. Who knows the kind of treatment she's getting there. And now compare it to doctors who have gone on strike or who are on strike. And strike is expected to last for 7 days. Between these days of they being on strike, so many things have gone wrong. At least I know somebody who have died within this period. The person had a complaint of body pain. He was taken to a hospital. The first hospital rejected him, and so they keep moving from one hospital. While on their way to another hospital, he gave up, and that was it. Okay. So these are ripple effects, and whether we like it or not, it still falls back on government, because you don't the excuse of the abductors shifting ground, it doesn't suffice. You don't negotiate with terrorists. It's only in Nigeria that we see such happen.
Honestly,
you don't negotiate with terrorists. You go for them. You fish them out.
For their lives.
You fish them out, and that is why kidnapping continues to thrive. Okay, we heard that over 300 million has been paid as a ransom. I think in the past 1 year.
Can you imagine?
You understand?
Who knows how much that was paid for the 20 medical students?
And yes, and this is just, I'm not talking about Nigeria as a whole. This is just a section of the country, or even in a state. So it's a big problem. You don't negotiate. You are treating this issue of kidnapping with kid gloves. You go for these people. It's a crime. It's against humanity. You don't begin to pamper them. That is why it continues to thrive. This woman has been away from her family, has been away from her patients, has been away from her colleagues and her friends and loved ones. And you keep bringing up if this woman is a wife of a senator or a governor or a relative to any of this high-placed political, we should be there for 9 months.
Irrespective of the amount of money,
there for 9 months.
Since you have decided to be paying ransoms.
We're talking about
pay the ransom, get her out.
We're talking about a medical doctor for crying out loud. So it's very, very unfair. Whatever excuse the government is laying on the table, it does not hold. Get this woman out. Let her reunite with her family. And of course, who knows if she will be able to go back to practice because of the trauma she would have gone through.
Who knows if she's still alive?
Who knows if she's still alive? So even if she's alive, when she comes out, she'll have to go through PTSD. So it doesn't count at all. The woman should be released so that doctors should will feel safe to go about their duties. Their duties, they are saving lives. They are not running a business of their own business. They are saving lives. So save this woman, give the doctors the assurance that their lives are safe while they are in the business of saving other people's lives.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, let's look at the traders get 1 month notice to crash prices. So is there another joke coming, like some people said in the riders? So it can lead to scarcity, business closure, job losses, stakeholders react. And then price reduction, a mirage, or less insecurity, high transportation are, taken care of. This is coming from TUC. So you don't just, I don't know, this has been a Nigerian problem. Very soon now, I say, okay, let's start giving you palliative again. You know what is causing the problem. You don't want to solve it. You don't even want to be proactive. Okay, forget about being proactive. Now you have created a problem. You know that because you moved this seat to the other, to that place, that is why we're having problems there. Why don't you just move back the seat to where it is, and the problem is solved? Ejike.
Let's look at the statement, when the statement was made and why the statement was made and by whom. The statement was made by Executive Secretary of the FCCPC, Federal Competition Consumer Protection Commission, Tunji Bello, and he was newly appointed. So that statement is typical of a commissioner of police who was newly appointed in the state, and their first statement will always be, criminals in this state relocate. So that is, it's the same thing Tunji Bello has just said. This is what in street parlance we call initial gra-gra. He has just got to let people know and be new ES in this department, so or in this department or agency. So you have come to bring changes. Now, funnily enough, he made a comparison. He said a fruit blender sold in Texas, US, cost around 140,000 naira. That in Nigeria, that same fruit blender is sold for 900 and something thousand naira. And he said it's alarming, the difference in price. Why would something that sells for 140,000 in US will be sold for 900 and something thousand in Nigeria? But he forgot to put in perspective the insecurity, like some traders have said, the amount of taxes, both legal and illegal, that you have to pay, the amount you have to pay, the import duty you have to pay, the monies you have to pay at the port before your goods are released, the monies that will have to change hands, both legal and illegal. So these are the things that traders consider before marking up their prices.
And if you are moving your goods from Lagos to other states of the
transportation and all of that.
And the police on the way,
the police on the way,
the
youth
customs.
on the waiting sticks, and the customs, and these are the things that he didn't mention. That it's funny when people just come up and make some statements. Of course, he's not a trader. He's a worker. So he wouldn't know or feel the brunt of the traders. You don't, when you have an issue, treat the issue from the root, from the source. Don't come on the surface and pretend to find solution to the problem, whereas you know the root cause of the problem. Insofar that we have insecurity in the land, we will always continue to have prices of high prices of goods. You don't tell me how much I should sell my products, because you did not make things easy for me in acquiring the goods. So you don't come and tell me how much I should fix my. It's funny. The statement doesn't hold at all. What Tunji Bello has, if he has been able to say, okay, we will cut out all these illegal taxes that you pay. If you see lorries, if you apply the highway, you see lorries on the highway, you see youths mounting their roadblocks. Few posts away where you have the military roadblocks. Few posts away where you have police roadblocks. So who are these youths who are wielding sticks? If you fail to stop and give them, they hit your side mirror, and they break your side mirror.
Youths that have gone to school and there's nowhere to employ them.
These are reasons why prices of goods will continue to be on the high side.
And fuel is sold for 1,000 naira.
And fuel is sold for 1,000 naira. So imagine how much diesel is sold for.
Transporters will buy diesel and fuel and move. And
you are telling you just woke up one day and you are giving somebody ultimatum 1 month to crash the price of his goods. No, it doesn't work like that. And like some persons have said, it will lead to scarcity. Because rather than selling my product for you at a very low, everybody is in business to make profits. So rather than selling it at below cost price, I'd rather keep it to myself. Especially if the goods is not non-perishable. One day, I would be able to sell it and recoup the amount I spent in purchasing it. Tunji Bello did not even consider inflation as well. So there are so many things to consider before you wake up and begin to make such statements.
Multi. Okay. So let's move on. Let's look at this banner headline at the Punch newspaper. Presidential fleet. 200 families displaced as NAV demolishes houses. Nobody is talking about this one. They're talking about what interests them. Soldiers deployed inside, property owners demand compensation, and then federal government is keeping mute about the whole thing, What thing concern them? You can cry a river, and then you're on your own.
It's a sad one. Before the houses are even demolished, that's when compensation are supposed to be paid. Now, what happens? What becomes of those families who are displaced? So we have a government that is insensitive, and it is very, very unfair. Government's primary responsibility is protection of life and property. So what becomes of these over 200 families that has been displaced? You somewhere you've lived for maybe for the greater part of your life, and all of a sudden you wake up. It's not as if there was a natural disaster that took away your place of abode. The government that you supposedly elected to protect you and make life meaningful and easy for you comes and take away that shelter that the government did not provide for you.
That you provided.
That they provided for yourself. The government takes it away from you without any form of compensation or alternative for you. It tells the kind of it speaks about the kind of governments or the people we have in the corridors of power. And like so many people have described them, they are mere kakistocrats, where you have the worst of people ruling the nation. That is what we have on our hands. If not, if for anything, where is your humanity? Where is humanity? Where is your sympathy for life? These families consider the fact that they have women and children, probably infants with them. So what becomes of them? Some of them will stay on the streets. Some of them will go and be a burden to their relatives.
Some of them will join bandits and
Some of them will join, but because you have to survive, you have to provide food, you must eat. It's a basic necessity. So you must find a way to eat.
Okay.
But government is not taking any of that.
Skipping meal. Okay, let's look at the rest of the papers before we begin to go. Nation newspaper is the next paper. 50% electricity subsidy for varsities, teaching hospitals. With a rider there that says President has given approval, says Minister. And then from the Guardian newspaper, we'll have this story that the making of capital, okay, let's begin here. So, living in Abuja, the making of a capital city of gross inequality, rags and riches. It's just not just in Abuja. This is the true description of Nigerian nation, rags and riches. Okay. Oh, do we have any other story of interest? No, we don't have time. So let's look at Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust newspaper. Nigerians paid 1.04 billion naira ransom to kidnappers in 1 year. Okay. This is from a report. You pay kidnappers ransom to keep kidnapping because it's a business, an arm of a business or arm of a government now that is in charge of kidnapping. So when they kidnap, you pay them. 1,056 killed, 7,568 abducted in 1,130 incidents. Okay, they even have these records. Okay, credible intelligence lacking. This is coming from former AIG. Why should they be lacking? Don't you know what other nations use for their own intelligence? SDSS boss wants emergency declared on security, like it just started. Troops neutralized 1,166 terrorists in 29 days. Parade them. Let's see. Okay, down here we have other stories. I returned. Okay, not. Police interrogation, labor movement, what dying for? Ajero is saying this. Strike. Federal government slams no work, no pay policy on resident doctors. Okay, we've seen that story. CBN report warns of rising financial strain for citizens. Waiting concern us, we'll just cross her. Anything where we see, we'll take. That's the kind of life we live in Nigeria now. Okay, we still have a Tribune coming. Nigerian Tribune, the federal government gives traders 1 month to crash prices. It's even federal government that this one is reporting, not even FCCPC. Okay, because it's an agency. Yes. Okay, federal government's agency. Any other story of interest? The local government autonomy, NBA names committee to monitor 774 councils. Which of them? Is it our own? Okay, it's not. All right. Blueprint is our last paper. Blueprint, crash food prices in 1 month of face sanction. Federal government wants retailers. Oh, okay. Any other story of interest? We have seen that one. Let's protect NNPCL as our national asset. Sonoye urges media Laos blueprint on objectivity. Okay, Ejike, quickly, is there any other story of interest you want to talk about before?
I will talk about just two stories. First of all, the slashing the subsidy for hospitals, general hospitals.
Okay.
It shouldn't be just government-owned hospitals, because the report there says it's for general hospitals. It should be for hospitals whose taxes are up to date. If there's any hospital, private hospital at tax compliant, they should also get such a subsidy.
The subsidy is, I read somewhere yesterday, the subsidy is just on gas, what do you call it, gas supply for, what do you call it?
There's also subsidy for electricity.
Okay.
So, yes, electricity. No, it's not easy running it's funny with some things that happen. Even if you go to some state-owned hospitals, they have time when they switch off their generating plant. You know,
It happens in many organizations
so
now.
It's funny. It's funny. But if with this, I hope it will bring the desired result. And because Nigerians will always have a way of cutting corners and making sure we find something to transfer to our pockets.
No, you're right. I remember I took my auntie to a hospital. That was last month. And we went there very early and waited till 10 o'clock. What's going on? That they were waiting till 10 to on the gen for the radiographer to take care of her.
And you have some persons, it's funny.
And people are dropping.
You know, these are things that you can't
so if you have an emergency, they don't say the person must wait for the 10.
No, they don't care. They don't care. If you have an, they don't care. I've had such an experience. They don't care. So it's very, 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 very funny. The way we toy with human lives in this part of the world. So with that subsidy, and I hope DISCOs would also play their own part and supply enough power to these hospitals so that they will be able to carry out their duties. Another report there talks about some persons faulting federal government 18-year-old admission policy. I personally, I think it's a good one. Good one in the sense that I don't agree with federal government stating that you have to wait till you are 18 before you sit for WAEC. No, I'm against that. But waiting for you to be 18 before you enter into the higher institution is something I think it's okay, given the kind of things that happens on campus, where you imagine having a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old living on his or her own on campus. Imagine the kind of things such a person will be. Maturity comes in here. Some persons in fact, there are higher chances that such a pupil or such a child would go astray if you let him.
Or be taken advantage of.
Yes, that is especially taking advantage, especially a female child. Well, some persons you only have to threaten them. If you don't do this, I'll do this, or if you do this, I'll do this to you, and then they keep mum, and then things begin to happen. So it's important. In my opinion, I think it's very, very necessary, because I don't see any reason why. No, things change a lot. In our time, I was 6-year-old before I started primary school. But today, a 3-year-old, 4-year-old is in primary 1. So you begin to mount unnecessary pressures on these children.
Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to say on that. That you don't just jump into WAEC and JAMB. You start
from the basic.
From the basics.
Yes.
So that at this age you are getting here, because you cannot write WAEC at 15 and you stay home until 18 before you go to university.
Even if you sit for WAEC at 15, get yourself busy. Get involved in skills before you get to the university. There are so many skills for you to learn. Use that opportunity to learn those skills. Go for coding. Go for learn a craft. There are so many things you should do with your time between 15 to 18. So when you're getting to you will now be more vast and experienced and even matured in mind, not just in body, in mind.
To take care of yourself.
To take care of yourself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Ejike Agbata, Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you very much for coming this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, and that's where we're drawing the curtain on this week's edition of Newspaper Review on Anambra Good Morning Anambra program. But we are taking a leave now to join the other side of the pond to discuss banning of phones in churches, how pertinent it is. So do join us again. My name is Ijama. Thank you.